Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Crossin Streams. As always, I am your host, the real Geno, Gina Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about Netflix's Carmen Sandiego series, which is based on the old computer games and kind of based on the cartoon Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego. I'll talk about that in a little bit. What this series is about, and boy, there's a lot going on for it being a kid's series. You have a girl that is found as a baby and grows up on this island that trains thieves, and it's an organization called Vile. And she grows up with them and eventually joins the school, even though one of the leaders doesn't want it to happen. There's 5 bad guy leaders. He doesn't want it to happen. And so she learns thieving through school, and then when she finally tries to pass her test to be able to go on her first heist, she fails despite being the best pickpocket in class, and there might be some foul play involved in that. And that leads to some twists and turns later that I won't really spoil. But when she goes on this heist, when she sneaks aboard to try to go on the heist, she discovers that these new Vile agents that she was a student with, they are willing to kill to achieve their mission, which she doesn't think is right. And this ends up with her escaping eventually, and she also eventually adopts a alternate persona, which is Carmen Sandiego. On her time on the island, she ends up with a cell phone where she is in contact with Player, where he calls himself a white hat hacker, and they end up working together. Once she gets off the island, what she does is she goes on a mission to basically foil anything Vile has going on. She goes and steals things back from them that they stole and returns them, and that's kind of the mission for her. She's being chased by Interpol, just like in the games, and the Interpol detective is Chase Deveneaux, and he's kind of the I don't want to call him egotistical. He's the stereotypical gumshoe. He's a little cocky, and he also has a partner who is a lot smarter than him, and he's always telling her, "Don't tell me the useless facts," you know. So there's that group. So that's the basic setup of the series, but there is a lot more going on. I was familiar with the games. I played a little bit of the games. I remember one of them I didn't get to the Carmen Sandiego mission. I remember getting to a mission, and I don't remember which game it was because there's a bunch of them. I remember getting to a mission where you were trying to, it was retrieve something of Babe Ruth. It was a bat or a ball or something like that. I don't remember what it was. It's been way too long and way too many computers ago. And also, I won't say faithfully, but I did watch a lot of the cartoon series Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego. And as a kid, and I was in mid-high school at that time, Carmen Sandiego, for a kid, is a little attractive. So, you know, of course, you like that character, right? So, and I always liked that cartoon. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm willing to bet it probably doesn't hold up, but you never know. So I can tell you this. I want to talk about the connection between this new series and the old series first. And really, a lot of it's the names and the situations. You have the same characters of Zach and Ivy and Player, where he was Player Z in the other cartoon. You have Chief. Of course, you have Carmen Sandiego. Zach and Ivy work for Acme, in the original cartoon. So you have some character names, but in this new series, Zach and Ivy are not with Acme. They are with Carmen Sandiego. But see, because Carmen Sandiego, in this series, she is kind of an anti-hero. She's not the villain, even though Interpol is trying to get her, and well, technically Interpol then becomes Acme because Chase Deveneaux and his partner join Acme and still try to chase Carmen Sandiego. So you've got them still chasing her, even though she's doing these things for good. They still are trying to connect her to the bad stuff. And again, she's trying to stop Vile, the people that raised her, because she finally realized in life that they were wrong. So there's where your connections are. And then Player is more of a character in this new series, and he's voiced by Finn Wolfhard. And so that's kind of the dynamic you have. You have Carmen Sandiego's team, you have Interpol / Acme, and you have Vile. Vile, again, led by 5 villains, and then they have kind of their student / subordinates, who usually is who Carmen is facing off against, except for the finale of the first season where she faces off against 2 of the 5 leaders. So the way these episodes work, and I can't remember, there's only I think it was 8 or 9 episodes. The way they work is you have Carmen in a location. You get a bit of a history lesson on said location. And then the stuff that's talked about in the history lesson ends up usually being a part of the episode, helping her solve things, or it's something she has to be a part of to make the mission work and things like that. I mean, it all kind of works together pretty well. I mean, it does get a little wordy at times when they're like, okay, this is this country and this is what they have, this, and that. I mean, it gets a little wordy, but, you know, it's technically still an educational program. That being said, it also has some pretty decent action when it happens. There's some nice twists and turns. You have different characters with different motivations, at least some of them. I'll talk about some of the other characters in a minute. But when with Carmen Sandiego and Player, with Chase and his partner, and with Vile, and then they all have their own motivations, and especially within Vile, a lot of the leaders are at odds with each other. So they kind of have their own things going on, and they, you know, this one wants this thing and this one wants that thing, and so they're all kind of not on the same page. So there's conflict there. So that really works pretty well. When it comes to the animation style, and I know I'm probably not going to be the only one that says this, but this animation reminds me a heck of a lot of that Aaron Esurance ad campaign that Esurance had, which oddly enough, when I was researching it, this show and that, just to talk about it, I guess the reason Esurance got rid of it was because of weird internet Aaron Esurance porn. So so take that as you will. But I gotta say though, I liked the animation of those commercials, and I liked the animation of this series. A lot of people are putting it down because of its animation. I enjoy the animation. I like it when things, when you try something different. I won't say it always works, but sometimes it does. And for this series, I thought the animation worked well. Now, when it comes to characters, there's some characters I kind of wish just weren't in the show. I know they're trying to make connections to the old cartoon and everything, but the characters of Zach and Ivy in this are kind of annoying. Okay, find someone to do the worst stereotypical Boston accent, and those are your two characters of Zach and Ivy. They didn't really add anything to the series for me. Also, having Acme involved, I get it. I'm fine with that. But you could have just kept it Interpol because other than the fancy gadgets, it doesn't really change anything. I like what they've done with Vile. You have a lot of creative villains. One of my favorites being Mime Bomb. He's a mime, and that's his nickname, Mime Bomb. And it's funny because every time he gets chased a few times in the episode, and every time he gets chased, he goes into this slow run, and of course he gets caught. And it's just kind of funny. So yeah, when it comes to characters, if they would have stuck with just Carmen and Player versus Vile, I think it would have worked better. So and then if Acme was just Interpol, I mean, again, the Acme thing doesn't bother me, but it's like, well, we're not Interpol anymore, so that's like all of a sudden we're with Acme now, and Chase is kind of not a good detective, so it makes you wonder why they approached him in the first place. His partner is who is the smart one, so and of course they even say in the end, it's like, you're an idiot and you have a future. So there's that. Again, there's some nice twists and turns with the storyline, especially in the last episode of the first season. You kind of learn some things, and then that also is going to lead to some other things because Carmen doesn't get the whole story. But there's just a lot of good stuff going on. Is it a fantastic series? No, it gets a little repetitive. That being said, it's nice and simple. It's got some nice throwbacks to the original cartoon. It's a new twist on Carmen Sandiego, by the way, voiced by Gina Rodriguez. And she does a pretty good job. It's a nice twist on the character because in this day and age, think about it. Think about a lot of different shows and books and everything, movies. We always want to take the cool bad guy and make him a good guy. Well, that's what they did with Carmen Sandiego here. It's a quick watch. Again, it's like 8 or 9 episodes. Despite some of the characters being iffy, it's still a decent show. I enjoyed it. It's just kind of a fun, if you mix something like, you have colorful characters, some fun heists, some nice history lessons that play into the heists, and it's got kind of a Robin Hood feel to it. It's not a bad little show. I'll probably continue to watch it, at least give the second season a chance. So is it worth checking out on your streaming service on Netflix? Yeah, it's worth checking out. That's going to be all for this edition of Crossin Streams. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel, like this video, and if you have anything to say about Netflix's Carmen Sandiego, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Until next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno, Gina Reynolds. See you later.